The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the complete. That is crazy
As I
stuff.
said, Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Now that we've left the wide-open stretches of Spa behind, our drivers have shored up at a track notorious for its tight confines. Known as the world's fastest half-mile, Bristol Motor Speedway has been home to some of the most rough-and-tumble racing around since the 60s. Today, the drivers must prove their versatility once again and attempt to wheel their Chevy Silverados around this bullring circuit. You'll see it all as we get ready to watch Round 9 of the Northwest Majors live on the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Joe Peak. Joining me in the booth today are Samuel Ryman and Sean Ambrose. Our cameras have been provided by Dougie Beard and are directed by Giancarlo Lenzi. As we get ready to add to the echoes of NASCAR history around here, let's hand it over to Sean to find out some of the stats about this track.
Hey, thank you, Joe, and good evening here from Bristol Motor Speedway here in the very farthest northeastern corner of the great state of Tennessee, just at the foot of the basically the Appalachian Mountains. But this track, a concrete track, not asphalt, 0.533 miles, so just over half a mile, 4 corners, 30 degrees of banking. It's a little bit variable, somewhere between actually about 26 and 30 degrees of banking on each turn. This is going to be a 200 lap race tonight. It's going to be very fast race as they get around here pretty quick. 80 degrees and 80% humidity. One thing to remember, this track is like flying a fighter jet in basically a basketball gym.
Yeah, and even though we don't have too big of a field, I have to imagine these guys will be trying to keep out of each other's way throughout the race tonight. But let's talk about the championship, Sam. It seems like things are pretty close up top at the moment.
Yes, and as Beyonce would say, Toby Butler's put his truck on top. He was fastest in practice by over 1/10 of a second, and he is also topping the points championship by 3 over Brian Barnes, who was 4th in practice. Carl Burke was 3rd in practice, so all these high point scorers actually up on the timing sheets tonight. Josh Gardner is 4th in the points, and he is not here today. Mark Redeker sits 5th in the points, 59 points back. And I do not see his name on the practice time sheets either. I believe it's 50 points for a win, so any of your top 3 drivers here could really walk out with the points lead today. Although granted, we've only got 17 cars on track right now, so even if Toby Butler finished 17th, I think he'd get enough points to be able to stay in front of Carl Burke. But Brian Barnes is going to be looking for all he can get here at the half mile.
Certainly true, and there's definitely some things to talk about as we watch qualifying work its way through. We've got most people have their lap in. Actually, let me check to see. We've got a couple people doing their last lap, so we're going to let that play out before we get into the qualifying times. But some of the things we need to talk about, Sean, with the progressive banking, it sounds like passing is going to be difficult today.
Yeah, it certainly can be on this track. Really the fast way around this track is the higher groove. You can really make speed up there, but it's awful tough to pass. And, it's not the widest track in the world either. It's certainly not Martinsville, but it's close quarters. And I don't think you're really going to see 3 wide. You certainly don't want to be 3 wide because somebody's going to get in a wall or down on an apron, and that's going to result in the little big one at this track.
I like that way of putting it, the little big one. And that brings us to the note of the caution, Sam. And this league, some of these oval races have seen a fair few of them, although they do get their stretches of green. We understand that they had some decent green running Friday night in a similar race in this league.
Yeah, well, one thing they've got going for them is that currently only 17 trucks have turned a time in practice. Only 14 have turned a qualifying lap as of now, but we still have 7 minutes of qualifying left. So, if there is a smaller field, obviously that means there will be less potential of wrecks. But at the same time, like you say, it is one of the more. It's well known for carnage, unfortunately, because even though you would say a little big one, it being a slow track, you would assume because it's so small, they're still going over 100 miles an hour in the corners here, and there's really not a whole lot of space to go. So we are going to see some carnage today. Some of it's going to be intentional, some of it's not, because they're going fast speeds, they ain't got nowhere to go. There's not a whole lot of grip on this concrete surface as it's 80 degrees out there. And also, if you wreck, you can still be in the race. So the drivers don't really have an incentive to not wreck one or two times because they get 2 free repairs. But at the same time, you'd rather try and save those for later in the race, if at all, than use them both up at the start.
And we've seen drivers throughout the series who have used those spare cars to very good effect, including last round at Spa. Our winner had an accident that probably would have put him out of the race completely, but he managed to limp it back around and still come back with the win, even with the extra pit stop. So guys will definitely be using that to their advantage. I don't see any more guys coming out on track, so even though we've had 17 people turn laps in practice, it looks like our qualifying may be over. Let's read it out in the meantime, even though we've got quite a few minutes left in qualifying. Toby Butler sitting on the provisional pole. Bruce Lawson is in second. Eric Larson, starts in third, with Carl Burke rounding out the second row. Matthew Rogers is in fifth. Then in sixth, it's Stephen Paulison, and Craig Capon is in seventh, Sam.
Gregory Bryant is in 8th and Jared Morgan is in ninth. Ray Fournier will round out the top 10 in his number 26 Chevy Silverado. Kevin Canodal in 11th, and then league organizer Mike Willett will line up 12th, Gary Nichols 13th, and Wayne Hutchinson 14th. And I'm almost wondering, Joe, because I see we do have more than 14 drivers active in the session, but a couple of them seem to not be turning laps intentionally, maybe so that they can start at the back of a pack, drop back a little bit, and just make sure they stay out of trouble during the first few laps.
Well, we see Brian Barnes has started to come out on track to try and get himself some laps. He did put practice laps in, so he was apparently waiting to see how that was shaping out. Since the track is not actually changing out there right now, so there's really no reason for these guys to wait longer other than maybe to see what they're up against. And Carl Burke is one of the heavy hitters. He's currently sitting in third in the championship, 20 points behind Toby Butler, who is on pole at the moment. So we need to kind of watch and see what Barnes has for this.
Well,
Yeah.
Barnes, I'm sorry, Sam, go ahead.
I want to say, being on pole may not be all it's cut out to be. Maybe you'll have control of the field at the start of the race, but at the same time, that high line is certainly the desired line around here, especially if you're running side by side. And Toby Butler will not have the choice of what lane he wants to start on. He will be forced to start from the inside if he starts on pole position, and if that's the case, he is going to have to race Bruce Lawson into turn 1 to get up onto that high groove.
Yeah, and it's looking like Barnes is only able to get fifth on the grid, so that bumps everybody below him down one more position. So Barnes is going to have some work to do to try and catch up to Toby, unless, like you said, Toby has a terrible time at the start with starting on that unpreferred inside line. We've still got 3 more minutes left in qualifying, with 15 guys having put laps in. There could be 2 more potentially that come out if they decide to run like Barnes does a little bit later in the session. So the other thing to worry about, obviously, here, as always with circle track racing, is the pit stops. Now, we understand from the word that we're getting from the Friday night race, Sean, was that the tires can last around here, so that could throw a loop in things.
Yeah, what we heard is they were getting really good wear out of the right front. Nice long runs on the right front without much degradation, and that's a bit surprising because this track is notorious for burning up the right fronts, and it has a lot to do with your camber settings, and how you set up your camber on the tires here. Because of the banking, guys tend to push the limits of that camber, and when you do that, you wear the inside tread of that tire up pretty quick. So I'm guessing, based on what we heard about the good wear, some of these guys have gone a little conservative on their setup as far as their camber settings for that right front.
Well, one more note, obviously, on the side. If you want to ask us questions at all at any time during the race, and we definitely will have time if they have cautions throughout this thing, send us a tweet on Twitter at GSR Channel, and we will try and pay attention to that and answer any questions you have, or just get your thoughts. So send it our way, and we'll probably pull it up on air. So, still like a minute and a half, actually, minute 15 seconds left to go in qualifying, and I haven't seen anybody else take to the track, so it's looking like this could be set. I mean, they'd still have time to get those laps in with only 15-second laps around here, but I don't understand quite what the advantage they would gain from waiting until this late in the game. So, and speaking of those times, Sam, looking at it, despite the short length of this track and the quick lap time, we've still got nearly half a second between first and last place. That is going to cause lap cars very quickly.
Yeah, that bothers me a little bit, that there is a bit of disparity in experience between these drivers, it seems. Like you say, 0.6 of a second between the fastest driver and the slowest driver. 0.6 of a second off a lap here, you will be a lap down within 30 laps. Let's not forget, you're going to be starting about 5 seconds back of lead anyway, so you'll be down the lap within 20 laps maybe. And 200 lap race, that's not good. The odds are not in your favour for there. But on that note, as you were saying, lap traffic can play into factor here, because if you are running up front and you're on that high line and no one can pass you because you're running the high line pretty solidly and it's really difficult to pass you on the high line, if you catch a lapped car that's using the high line and the guy in second decides to use the low line to pass you, that can easily result in a lead change. And believe me, I know that's how I won my only NASCAR Class A oval race on iRacing, was because of a lapped car holding the lead up on the high line. So it does happen.
Well, you may have to be conveying some of that experience and wisdom throughout this race. Even though I've done a few oval races myself, I have never raced on this circuit, at least in iRacing. It's been a number of years since probably NASCAR racing too that I've hopped out here. So these guys will need to be drawing from all that they have to get every inch out of this circuit. You can see them lining up on the grid now. They're going to get their pace lap, and then we are going to be racing for 200 laps around here, Sean.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good piece. But if we can get a couple of really nice green flag runs, it will go by quick, because as Sam was talking about, when you get around here in just under 16 seconds, you can do the math and see that it can be a pretty quick race. But as we've seen at Bristol in the past, in other series, Bristol's tough on equipment, man. It's really, really hard on equipment, and there's going to probably be some caution flags here, especially when we have such a disparity in time, like Sam was talking about. Guys catching the back markers pretty quickly. That could mean trouble. Hopefully it doesn't, but we'll see what happens. But I'm looking for an entertaining, fast race.
Craig Capon was scheduled to start 8th. He lost the connection. He has returned to the race, but I guess that means he'll be starting on pit road. Obviously, that's not a good sign, because he'll be half a lap down at least by the time he gets out onto the circuit. Another thing I'd like to note, Toby Butler was actually asking if the leader gets lane choice. I'm pretty sure the answer is no, though, so he only just found out that he's going to have his work cut out for him here.
Yeah, certainly, as he leads them around with Bruce Lawson on his outside in that orange car with the yellow rims, fluorescent yellow rims. We are not going to miss him tonight. And speaking of which, night race, this is always a bit of entertainment, seeing the lights on with them shining off these nice bright and shiny paint jobs out there around this concrete. They probably won't stay that way for very long. Going to get a little bit scuffed up in these short little tight corners, but pace car is going to peel off any second here. We're going to get the green flag. We're going to go racing around Bristol Motor Speedway. There goes the pace car. Toby is leading them around, and he does get a good jump immediately, tries to cover off, although he doesn't jump fully off up onto the high side. Now he's got the line. Oh, and Bruce Lawson already up into the wall. That loses him the position. Almost, though. It looks like just below him, Eric Larson is trying to squeeze by.
Yeah, but I was going to say it's not going to happen because of that undesirable O-line, but then Bruce Lawson got in the wall again. If Bruce can keep it off the wall, he should be able to get a run off the exit of the turn. He does it there, and if he can keep it off the wall this time, he should have second position locked up. But meanwhile, Toby Butler already has an 8/10 of a second lead.
Craig Capon is on the track.
Yeah, Butler is absolutely cruising out there with the dramas that Lawson had early on. But just behind them, Carl Burke was under threat from Brian Barnes, but once again, like you said, with that banking, unable to do anything at the moment. Just behind them, we do have a battle going on between Matthew Rogers and Stephen Paulison, and that is for 6th and 7th.
Yeah, and there was a little action between Kevin Kernodle and Ray Fournier back there as well. They were getting into each other just a bit. A little argy-bargy going on there already early in the race.
Yeah, in fact, I'm looking at Kernodle, and he's already got damage on the back of his car, and we're only 5 laps into this thing.
Yeah, and the reason you see the drivers all scrambling for position back there, oh wow, Eric Larson almost spins out of turn 2. He's able to keep it going, no caution, but he is going to lose. Oh, let's see, this is a battle for 9th position now he is having with Gregory Bryant.
That was one hell of a power slide, especially around the banking, and he's very lucky that his car was pointed just to the right of that the barrier at the end of the pit lane there.
Yeah, and it looks like we got 2 different races going on here right now, as we've split up into basically 2 packs, and Craig Capon out there by himself running his own race right now. But yeah, they've split up, and it's pretty tight. They're sliding all over the place, still trying to get some heat in the tires.
Oh, and a challenge from Carl Burke on Bruce Lawson, but wasn't able to make it happen. Almost got into the left rear of that truck.
Truck into the inside wall. Truck into the inside wall, guys.
Did you see who it was?
It's Troy Anderson, but I don't think it's for the caution now because he was able to keep it straight.
Yeah, he was able to get back up on the track surface, exactly, yep.
Yeah, that was a nice little nudge into the wall, though, so that's not going to help his handling at all. And he is currently sitting in 15th, which is the last car on the lead lap, with Craig Capon currently 2 laps down. Now, I'm actually not sure if we have lucky dogs in this series or not. I'll have to see if we can dig that up and get that information, because that could greatly help Craig around here.
Well, just to talk about how quick the laps go by when it's under green, they are working lap 12 right now, and Toby Butler already has a 3-second
Guys,
lead.
Gary Nichols off the track into the inside wall, rolling over the track.
That's going to bring the caution now. He's pointing backwards.
Yeah, that. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. And boy, did he take a tumble. Yeah, here we go. That looks like that started coming off of the corner onto the front stretch. Just getting a little loose. We'll see it here, I think, coming up around this next one. Now he's into 3 and 4. And, yep, just got on the power, it looks like, and nosed it right into the pit wall, and around he goes and over and over. So that, however, will be taken care of with his spare car. Although with only 12 laps completed out of 13 laps completed, he's going to want to save his other one for the rest of the race for as long as he can go.
Yeah, but he's definitely going to need this repair. That truck's in bad shape right now.
There's the answer to your lucky dog question. It looks like Craig Capon is being given the wave around.
So I'm sure he's incredibly grateful that they have included that rule as he works his way around the pack and will join up at the tail just behind Gary Nichols. And actually, Nichols is heading in, so he should line up behind Troy Anderson and only be 1 lap down now. So all he needs is 1 more caution, and he could be back in the game.
Yeah, and Craig Capon was making up time. I mean, he was coming up through the field there in the Best Buy Chevrolet Silverado.
So he might have some pace, as even though he doesn't quite have the luck today. It seems like he's trying to make up for that setback with his disconnect early on in the race. Once again, just a reminder: if you have any questions for us, send us a tweet at GSR Channel, and we will try to answer it during the race, especially during these caution periods if we get any more. Good thing is, I mean, with a half-mile track, 0.53, we don't have to wait very long for these laps to go by under caution.
Yeah, we're not spending the 2.5 to 3 minute caution laps like we do at Talladega or Daytona.
So the pace car, actually I'm going to check to see, the lights are still on, so we've still got one more lap to go before, or two more, lap and a half actually I should say, and then we will be getting the green flag racing coming back. Our top five real quick: Toby Butler still in the lead. Bruce Lawson, despite some scrapes up against the wall, I'm not sure how his car is looking out there, not sure if we could get a good close-up camera to see how badly it's damaged, is still holding second. Brian Barnes is in third. Carl Burke is in fourth, and then Steve Paulson rounds out the top five.
Yeah, we should see the pace lights going off this time around, hopefully. And I'll tell you what, Toby Butler got a very nice start to the race. And the reason he was able to do that, and look, they're actually letting him have the choice of lane for the restart. So that's an interesting rule. But the reason he was able to lead at the start of the race was because he got on the power basically as soon as the pace car went off, kind of took the field by surprise, and that's how he was able to gap the field so early. But now he's been given the high line, so that's a nice feather in the cap for anyone who's leading the race today, which unfortunately I have a feeling will be Toby Butler for a lot of the time, that they will have choice of lane for the restarts.
Well, he's currently leading the championship, and he is going to lead the race once again. He started on pole. Once again, he absolutely checks out and leaves Bruce Lawson in the dust just behind them. They've got a little bit of a battle going on between Brian Barnes and Carl Burke. Loops it.
Just got on the power too quickly. Now, he's on the apron. Oh, the pace car's coming out. I almost wondered if they were going to let him go green.
Nope, the caution is in fact out, and this goes back to that old adage, Sean. Cautions breed cautions as we go to the replay.
Yeah, that certainly can happen, and you get to the power a little too quick on this track, you will loop it. As we just saw in that last caution with the number 8 there, the number 8 machine of Gary Nichols, just getting to the power a little bit too quick off the turn, and you will spin that thing around.
As we watch Carl Burke on that replay get it going again. I don't think he hit the inside wall. I think he just spun it around, actually. So, yeah, that was a no-contact situation. Although he's still coming into the pits. I guess since he's at the tail end, he figures might as well top up.
I need 40 acres to turn this rig around, but in these trucks you only need 40 inches. If you get that power down, you can really loop it, and that was nice car control by Carl Burke to not hit the wall, and he's got a very fast truck, so he should be able to get back up to the front, because he won't need a free repair because he didn't hit anything. But talking about drivers who used up a free repair, Gary Nichols now getting a wave around. He'll get back on the lead lap. 15 cars on the lead lap. Craig Capon 16th, one lap down.
Well,
and
the
Sam, Sam, I was going to say, actually, Carl Burke did have some damage on the right rear end of that truck, and did take a free repair on that pit stop.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So that did come back and bite him just slightly as we watch Gary Nichols work his way around back onto the lead lap. So Craig Capon is going to have to wait one more before he moves his way up. But he's still actually not quite in last place, or at least not last in line, as he's got Nichols and Burke behind him at the moment. So that's 2 less cars that he has to work his way up through in an attempt to try and get that last lap back and get on the lead lap in this race. So as we watch on board with Nichols with the entire field up in front of him, up in that tall concrete banking, as we work our way around the bowl that is Bristol. I think we should be 1 to green this time by. Let me check on the pace car and see. Nope, looks like we're still going for another lap or 2.
Probably just another 2 laps, or 1.5 as you would say now. You can see the field beginning to anticipate double file. Bruce Lawson probably... it was weird how he was running up on that high line and getting in the wall every now and then. I'm wondering if that's because of cold tires, or maybe he doesn't like that high line as much as the other drivers do. Because to be fast at Bristol, you really have to throw your truck into the turn, and that means giving a lot of trust to your tires and the pavement, and hoping that you won't slide up into that wall. And every now and then it does happen, but if you're a driver who doesn't have that confidence, doesn't have that trust in your tyres to hold on, as we see the pace car lights extinguished right now, there's no shame in running a lane or two down. You're still probably going to be able to hold on to your position and go fast around here. But I tell you what, it probably won't get you out in front of Toby Butler.
Well, it hasn't yet, that's for sure, and we'll see if he can maybe do it this time around, as he isn't quite fully up beside Butler. Interesting that he's not really trying to get right up on him and take advantage and see if he can do something there, but giving him a lot of space. I guess I suppose since he has the inside line, he doesn't want to get black flagged and is giving it a wide berth there. Pace car peels off. We're going to go racing on lap 24 here. Green flag is out, and once again, Butler just shoots off into the lead. Lawson slots in behind him, and then Brian Barnes takes up third.
Lawson got a really good run off of turn 2 there, but it doesn't challenge Toby. Oh, now he's going to challenge Toby Butler. Toby's struggling on this restart, but Bruce got loose off a 4 there, and he's got to try and defend that high line now, because otherwise Brian Barnes is going to be on him pretty quick.
He took a peek, and now he's going to take a look onto the inside, coming around 3 and 4 there. But does he have the momentum? No, it looks like he can't quite get the power down, and Lawson is going to slap back into that spot. He's still trying, though, not giving up, still got some too-wide racing, and eventually it seems like every straightaway he just cannot get that speed to carry.
Carl Burke making his way back up through the field, guys. Just put the pass on Mike Wallett. Wayne Hutchinson in his sights, coming on.
In fact, he's got that high line, but he's into the wall and is scraping along, and that is going to hurt his handling.
And it's also going to mean when he pits next time, that'll be his second free repair used up.
Yes, sir. More damage on that right rear again. Same spot.
Working his way around Wayne Hutchinson. He's got that outside line. Can he make it happen around this corner? Yes, he does, easily out-dragging him to the next one.
Yeah, Carl Burke, I expect him to be able to run through this half of the field pretty easy. These are probably easy pickings for him because he does have such a fast truck. It's really going to be, once he gets into the middle of the field, that it's going to become a struggle. I really think he needs to slow down a little bit because he's faster than these guys anyway. Take his time a little bit more passing these guys. He doesn't want to use up his truck this early in the race.
Yeah, he's got 170 laps to do it still, as we're on lap 30 currently. Now, the one I've been watching is Bruce Lawson and Brian Barnes still battling it out. Brian has been using that low line quite a bit, and he's taken another peek, but I don't think it seems like a repeated... Oh, maybe he does. He's got a good run this time, and he's going to be up alongside him. He's just ahead, but he's got to get that good run once again, and he can't quite make it happen. But I was going to ask Sean, with him running that low line and less banking down there, is that going to eat up his tires quicker?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that. I'm sorry. Around the higher line, you're definitely not wearing out those tires quite as much. Down in that low groove, you're fighting that turn going in, and you're really fighting the wheel, and that's gonna burn that rubber off pretty quick.
So if we continue to get long green runs, we have to wonder if we're going to see Brian Barnes start to drop back. That's Jared Morgan, just behind him in fourth, and has been watching this for quite a few laps. In fact, they've got Eric Lawson and Stephen Paulson back there as well, watching this battle go down. In fact, now it looks like Larson is taking a look on the inside himself, but isn't able to make it happen.
Yeah, the right front fender on the number 36 truck of Lawson's is...
Oh, guys, two cars in the wall. The number 39, Troy Anderson. It looks like Kevin Canoodle was involved in that too, bringing out the pace car.
Ooh, and his car does not look good. Let's see if we can pull up the replay. There it is. Anderson on the left side, Kevin on the high side there, and just drifts up into him, as we'll see in a second. This is coming on to, I believe, the back stretch here. Just drifts up to that.
Just past the start-finish line there is when they made that contact.
Yep, and a lack of awareness on the part of Troy Anderson, possibly, as he just kind of moved his car northward, and unfortunately, there wasn't enough track for both of them.
Leaders are down pit road. Toby Butler and Bruce Lawson into their pit stalls, and this is really Bruce's best opportunity to try and beat Toby Butler. Now, I believe because there's a small enough field, they only have to go down the one pit road during caution, whereas in real life you have to go down both pit roads. But Toby Butler wins the race off of pit road, and actually Brian Barnes gains the spot on Bruce Lawson, and Brian's going to be really, really happy about that because he was all over Bruce. I'm pretty sure he was quicker than Bruce. And now Bruce Lawson has used up one of his 3 repairs. I was making a note right before that caution came out that he had damage on the right front fender, and it made it really easy to see his right front wheel during the turns, and he had a lot of wheel in that truck. I think he's suffering from understeer, at least on the longer runs. Maybe that was a result of a damage, and if you're suffering from understeer around here, that can certainly eat up that right front tyre.
Well, the interesting thing about Barnes beating out his competitor Bruce Lawson there is that Barnes is 3 points behind Toby Butler in the championship right now. So Barnes has a lot of incentive to try and get up there and try and hold on to the car that has led most of this race, Toby Butler. So we'll see if he's got the pace, and if he does, boy, this is going to heat up the championship something fierce.
Carl Burke stayed out. He will be the leader on the restart. Now, normally I'd be a bit concerned when a driver stays out and leads on the restart that hasn't been running up front, but Carl Burke was running up front before he had trouble. He is certainly a top 5 contender, and also because of the lack of tyre fall off here, he probably won't be getting run over too much. Now, don't get me wrong, I have a feeling Toby Butler, if he gets a good run on him, will be able to take the lead soon, but this might not be a bad idea on strategy for Carl Burke to stay out under this caution.
And remember, Carl Burke did come in when he had trouble, his spin, earlier on, and took his spare car. And maybe that's even more reason for him to stay out, knowing that he would lose his second spare car if he goes in now. So he has used this probably to quite wise advantage, Sean.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Joe. A good reason to stay out. He does have some damage. Don't take that repair now. Let's save it. There's still a lot of racing left in this race. We've got 160 laps to go. Inevitably, there's going to be some trouble. Hope you're not in it, but Carl, I think, made the wise choice to stay out. And he's going to start up on the high line there, so I think, he's in pretty good shape. If he can get a nice jump, get out in that clean air, and avoid the trouble behind him, he could stay up there for a while.
Well, the pace car peels off, and we've got a green flag, and life is looking peachy, even with the green, as Carl Burke shoots off into the lead. Toby Butler is going to slot into second, as Brian Barnes was not able to do anything, but just behind him, Bruce Lawson had a run and had to check up.
Bruce Lawson was our first serious case of wheel spin on the restart. He almost lost it on that restart and did well to be able to hold on to 4th. So yeah, Carl Burke, learning from the master, Toby Butler, on that restart. He got an early restart and that gave him a good jump. But I'll tell you what, Toby Butler's already running him down.
Yeah, I was going to say this is drastically different from what we've seen through the rest of the race, with all of our top 4 just lying astern as we get ready to run on lap 44 here. So these guys are going to be all over each other, and if they start to run into traffic, if we get a long green run, that is going to be all the more interesting with everybody within close contact.
Yeah, guys, and Kevin Coronado and Troy Anderson really both just can't seem to get things back under control yet. They're both having trouble with the handling on their machines, and right now are both falling back.
Now, I know that with Carl Burke up at the front, we're not seeing the actual true pace.
One truck in the wall over in turns 1 and 2. He just lost about 10 spots. It's Gregory Bryant. He was in 6th. He is now down to about 10th or 11th or 12th.
Yeah, and it looks like he might have actually had a bit of help potentially. No, he just came up into the wall. No, he did not have anybody touch him, although Matthew Rogers sure had a scare with that weaving truck right in front of him.
Well, and the question for Gregory Bryant and the Got Milk, the number 10 Got Milk machine, is got damage. Yes, he does.
Yeah, it's certainly looking like that right rear is not in good shape at the moment. And Toby Butler has been hassling him the whole way as he looks. Oh, and Burke is up into the wall. And this could hand over the lead. He's trying to hold on around the outside. He lost his momentum, but it's still enough for him to hold on. And unfortunately, with the low side, and we've got a caution, actually.
Wow, that was a lucky save for Toby Butler, because as you were going to say, Brian Barnes was about to dispose of him for second.
I think Barnes did dispose of him for second. It looks like he's ahead of him right now.
Gregory Bryant, I believe, pulled out our latest caution.
He did. Gregory Bryant coming off of turn 4. Looks like he might have got back to the power a little bit too soon. He's got spoiler damage back there and might have lost a little bit of downforce with that spoiler damage, but it spun him around and right into the inside wall.
Yeah,
not quite into the inside wall. He was able to save it, but it shoved him back up on the track.
Yeah, we just watched that on the replay, and he should be able to keep going, it looks like, although he is heading into the pits. And we're going to take another look at something going on here in the replay. We're looking at Craig Capon, actually. And we're going to hop on board, see what he saw in this accident. So, with I believe this is our 3rd or 4th caution. I'm already starting to lose count. Let's head to a very quick break, and we will be back in a moment. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway. We are getting ready to come back to green on lap 53 here. And right now, Carl Burke is in the lead after a big scare. He was up into the wall yet again, had a run from Toby Butler, but wasn't able to make anything happen. And Brian Barnes took advantage of that just before the caution came out and sneaked ahead of Butler, who has led most of the laps around this race. But right now, Carl Burke is taking them to the green. This time, the first time we haven't seen someone really get a good run, and Brian Barnes is still down on the inside. In fact, he's got a nose ahead. Could he actually do it? He's got it. Brian Barnes is going to lead this race.
Yeah, and Bruce Lawson follows him through into second if he can get back up on the high line here. And Toby Butler has damage on the rear spoiler. Maybe that's what's hurting him, because he's gotten very loose. He is stuck on that low line, and he is losing spots.
Guys, yeah, right. if we can get a close-up of Toby Butler's rear end, that's more than just a little bit of spoiler damage. He's got the whole center of that just creased in like he backed into a light pole.
Yeah, a good view would probably be from Matthew Rogers' car. There we can see on camera. Wow, that is a huge, huge dent in the back of that car. I am kind of amazed. I didn't know you could do that to the back of a truck. and especially keep those tires, that rear axle still in good condition. But he definitely does not have a good handling car, as he is dropping well back from Carl Burke, currently in third, who's trying to find his way past Bruce Lawson.
Yeah, and Brian Barnes, we've been talking about him being 3 points back of Toby Butler. This will certainly help him in the point standings, but then, of course, we've still got a long way to go. Carl Burke just got into the wall off turn 4 again.
And we've got a caution, and I'm not entirely sure what caused that one. We haven't heard yet. Sounds like Eric Larson was the cause of that one. He was in 7th place before.
Yeah,
we're looking at the replay.
Looks like Eric got in a little trouble coming off the turn. Maybe back to the power a little bit too quickly and made a little bit of contact, and it sent him down to the inside into a spin.
Yeah, that contact was with Jared Morgan.
We've got cars coming down pit road. Carl Burke and Toby Butler are on them. And I'm beginning to say we're caught a distance through this race, and we've only got one car 1 lap down, Kevin Knodel, and he'll probably get the wave around here. But really, this is like looking at a hollowed out house and saying that it's good. It looks good, but really the problem lies beneath. All these trucks may look good, but now that they're running out of free repairs, we're going to start seeing some attrition in the second half of this race, I think. And Carl Burke is going to beat Toby Butler off pit road, and of course that's the way they came in anyways.
And Butler did get a free repair, and I think that should be his first one, unless he had any damage before his previous. I can't recall if he
beat Carl Burke off pit road. My apologies.
It was ever so close. Both of them pulled out at about the same time there, so he just snuck out. However, there were some cars that did stay out, it looks like, including Brian Barnes, who was leading before. So Barnes has had the pace. He just hasn't been able to show it until he's been up in the lead, and it looks like he might have an easy out, as right now he's only got Bruce Lawson behind him.
Yeah, and I'm beginning to see the strategy come into play where the less times you pit, the more times you are the less free repairs you're gonna have to take. So certainly, I think as the race picks up, as it goes on, you know, the drivers see the lap 200 getting ever closer. They're going to make a bit more bump and runs. There's going to be a couple more ugly moves. And I hate to say it, Joe, but 200 laps here with these trucks, at some point there is going to be a quote-unquote little big one. And you're not going to want to have used your 2 free repairs up by the time that happens.
I honestly don't anticipate anybody making it through this thing without a DNF. So, or at least I don't anticipate the race making it through without a DNF of someone, I should say. Right now, as I'm looking at the order, Kevin Kernodle is actually our only car that is a lap down. Everybody is still on the lead lap, and we're past a quarter of a way through this thing. So we're not doing too bad for 16 cars out there.
Yeah, I think that's a hollowed out house in though there, Joe. The termites have been eaten inside and it looks good, but on the inside it is fragile and just waiting for someone to push it.
Well, the lights are off on the pace car as Barnes goes to take the high side. So we are going to come back to green racing here in a moment as they come around to the backstretch. Pace car is going to peel off and we are going to hit lap 64 and we're going to go back to green flag racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. So, question is, can Brian Barnes scamper away once again? And can Toby Butler make progress up through the field? What's that?
I have a feeling the lights should be going back on because oh no, they're not. Kevin Knodle's been given a wave around, but they didn't give it to him until just now. So he just raced his way up into the middle of the field and still a lap down. But in reality, look at the second half of the field. They're half a straight back because they were all trying to let Kevin Knodle by to give him his lap back.
Oof, that is an unusual situation. They should have been able to call off that green, but they unfortunately didn't in time. In the meantime, Brian Barnes has in fact scampered away, but he's up into the wall. Just a little bit of a brush. Can he get away with it? His car looks decent. He's got a little bit of damage on the right side, though.
Well, and oh geez, the 53 off the track. Carl Burke into the wall.
Yeah, we stay green here though, and I'll tell you what, this whole Kevin Canodal situation has really helped these drivers that stayed out on on old tires, because right now the guys who pitted would be trying to run over them for position.
Yeah,
But
in fact,
because they all let Kevin Canodal by, because they all let Kevin Canodal by, they're so far behind that these drivers on older tires are able to run away with the lead.
And right now, Toby Butler, our former leader, is currently sitting in 8th, trying very hard to get around Troy Anderson. And he's proving a tough nut to crack at the moment, just holding him back quite easily. So Butler is not making progress, and that is what he needs right now to get back up into things.
And how quickly fortunes can change here with Carl Burke falling all the way back to the rear of the field after that spin, making a little bit of contact with Mike Wallett, getting his truck out of shape and spinning him around. And now here he is at the back of the field just trying to hang on, close to 11 seconds off the leader.
He is well off the pace, and keep in mind, he's used up both free repairs, so at this point, he's just got to hope that they get a caution soon and that he'll have enough time to try and get that car back into shape.
Guys, I'm worried about Bruce Lawson for the long haul. Sure, he's been able to keep his truck clean in recent runs, but he just seems to be struggling with handling. In the long run, he seems to get a bit tight. He's sliding it around a lot. I have a feeling he's going to wear his tyres off in the long run, and those guys behind him seem a bit quicker. I mean, he's doing a very good job at running second there. He's been in the top 5 all night. I just have a feeling he's really going to have to fight to defend that position.
Yeah, it almost seems like Lawson's kind of trying to dirt track it a little bit around here, and I don't know if that's the best strategy on a track like this.
I was going to say, right now, Lawson is probably Brian Barnes' best friend because he has just been extending that gap, although now it's starting to be pulled in just slightly with about a half a second between himself and Lawson. But he's got a handy little buffer at the moment, and the guys behind him are certainly not making inroads, including Stephen Paulson and Jared Morgan in 3rd and 4th.
And they started 7th and 10th. They're theoretically mid-pack runners, but just the way everything's worked out, they've kind of cycled up to the front right now. And I've got to be honest, guys, it's beginning to look a bit single file. Maybe we'll be able to get a long green flag run in here. And I know I've probably just put the commentator's curse on someone.
I was just going to say, don't say that just yet. Toby Butler finally trying to take a look on the inside of Troy Anderson there in 7th place, but isn't able to make it happen. He has been stuck behind him for a number of laps now. We're on lap 76, and there's always going to be a potential opportunities later on if we get cautions. It'd be impressive if they were able to go green from the end here, but right now, it's not looking good for Toby, Sean.
No, not at all. Again, how the fortunes can change for some of these drivers, but another driver, for instance, Mike Wallett, not sure what actually happened with him, but he's fallen back, and he can't even keep up with the field at this point. He's all the way at the back, and now over 14 and a half seconds off the leader. He's about to go a lap down.
I wonder if Willett had incurred some sort of damage along the way, because he's actually slower than Carl Burke, who we know is off the pace. So, yeah, he is. You're right. He is struggling something fierce there.
Yeah, I don't see any damage on that truck. Not looking at the right side right now, but the rest of the truck looks really clean.
He joined the practice session very late on, and he's running that low line, and I'm pretty sure that's not the quickest way around here. I have a feeling he may not quite have the hand of the circuit or of a good setup right now.
Well, Brian Barnes just made his way around him.
Yep, that is correct. He has put him a lap down.
And Brian just put it in the wall.
Yeah, he is flirting with danger. He did that a little bit earlier. Remember, you can see that damage on the right rear. He just barely brushed it, but he seems to be handling okay, so he's not too put out by that.
Meanwhile, Toby Butler as well. Oh, and there's Troy Anderson almost spins it to the inside wall. Toby Butler has moved his way up to 6th by Gregory Bryant and Troy Anderson. Gregory Bryant, it looked like, kind of let him by. So maybe this will give Toby Butler the clean air that he needs, and he'll be able to run Eric Larson down in 5th place soon. Maybe.
We'll have to wait and see. Certainly had a tough time with those that last battle with Anderson for quite a while. But every driver is going to be different in how they handle this. Like you said, Bryant just kind of let him go, knowing that he's a faster driver, and he is fighting for the championship out here today. Currently sitting in the lead on points at 151. This is actually, interestingly, only his 4th race, since this series does multi-class racing as well, and those don't give you quite as many points. So Butler has kind of taken advantage of the ovals being a little bit generous on the points.
Yeah, and that should probably continue next race when they go to Darlington Speedway.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Eric Larson just got held up by the lap truck of Mike Willett, and that caused Toby Butler to close right in on his rear spoiler.
Yeah, he has closed the gap significantly, and he is looking at that spoiler, trying to figure out where he can go to get around. But he's not close. He actually dropped a little bit since then. So interestingly, he seems to be. I wonder if this is something where is the dirty air hurting, or are they not fast enough around here for that to affect these cars, Sean?
Well, I mean, clean air at any track is the place you want to be in because there's no trouble in front of you. So I don't know if the dirty air is quite, there is a little bit of draft here. I mean, they are going over 100 miles an hour, so.
Well, it doesn't matter now for Butler because he absolutely whipped by Larson when he drifted a little bit too high and through 1 and 2, and now he's got the spot. So Butler back up into 5th.
Guys, we're not seeing it visually. I mean, we are seeing it in that Toby Butler's able to make passes, but he is the quickest truck on the track. When he gets a clean lap in, he is running 16.3, 16.4s. Our leader, Brian Barnes, who with a clean track is running 16.5s.
So I guess the lesson in all this is that Barnes needs to make hay while he has the opportunity, and he's trying. He's got 2 seconds over Bruce Lawson in 2nd as he puts another lap on Wayne Hutchinson. But we're still on board with Toby Butler, who is actually trying to get around. Actually, is that for position here? Yeah, that was for position. He's going to move up to 4th now. And wow, that was around the inside. So impressive stuff from Butler.
Yeah.
Nice 3-truck battle going on right now between Troy Anderson, Gary Nichols, and Craig Capone. They are working hard and trying to come up through this field. As we remember, Craig Capone started the race off from the pits, and he is now in well within the top 10, sitting in 9th place, 10 seconds off the leader, but still on the lead lap and racing very well, running a pretty good line right now.
In fact, he qualified in 8th, so 9th position is just about where he started. So he's done a good job to at least gain to there. If he can make any more progress, then it is a definite gain for him. But this is for 9th, 8th, and 7th position between these 3 trucks.
Meanwhile, I've been keeping half an eye on Carl Burke. He seems to have got the hang of his truck now. He's running 16.5s, which is about the time the leader's running. So whatever damage there is on that truck, he's learned to drive with it. But at the same time, he's only a straight away ahead of Brian Barnes, who has 2 lap cars in front of him, Kevin Canodal and Mike Willett, racing side by side for 15th and last place. They're actually about to go 2 laps down, but the problem is right now, while they're racing, they're actually going to hold up Brian Barnes a little bit, but it doesn't matter too much because he does have a 3-second lead over Bruce Lawson.
Yeah, Canodal is currently the car ahead as we watch Carl Burke. Let's switch over to our leader here, Brian Barnes, as he tries to weave his way through this traffic. Now he finally gets by. He was definitely held up a decent chunk.
But one truck up on its wheels. Danny Nichols in 7th. He had it crash earlier. No caution, I don't think. But he's got a lot of damage on the left side of that truck. He was basically sliding down the front stretch on his side.
And he was one of those guys that was in that battle that we saw earlier. As we go to the replay, that was coming off of turn 4. We'll get to that in just a second here. Yeah, it looks like he just got a little bit loose. Down to the inside he goes, and wow, definitely got those wheels up in the air like you said. So that is, that hurt him. I don't think.
And this battle for second has now caught this lap battle between Wayne Hutchinson and Mike Willett. They're getting held up, but battle for second has really stacked up with Bruce Lawson in front of Jared Morgan, and in fourth place, Toby Butler. Good to have second here within a few laps. By the way, we just went halfway.
Do not count out the Butler. Ring the bell, and he is there. And right now, he's sitting in fourth, eyeing to get on the podium. And it looks like he's going to have an opportunity with Jared Morgan getting checked up by lap traffic. Goes clear around the outside. Opportunistic move by Toby Butler.
And that's the first time we've really seen lap traffic play a change in position.
And he is not done in just about the same lap. He gets by Bruce Lawson. He is already up into second place. Only car ahead of him is Brian Barnes. And as you said, he has been running faster laps in clear air. This could be it for Toby Butler to try and get himself back into the lead. It took him a few laps, but boy, did he make good.
And guys, back here, the back of the pack, Gary Nichols really having trouble hanging on to that badly damaged Silverado. Carl Burke has been trying to set him up for about 4 laps to make a pass on him and just can't seem to do it. I think it's Carl Burke is finding an ill-handling machine himself.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting fight here between two cars that are very much slowed by some unfortunate damage throughout this race. Quick note, we are on lap 105. We're already past the halfway point despite a number of cautions. This thing is absolutely flying by. So Toby Butler might run out of time before he knows it. He's still got 3.5 seconds.
Well, he's taken off a tenth a lap, and 3.5 seconds, you could get there in 35 laps.
Yeah, and we got Brian Barnes is coming up on the back of the field here, and that's going to slow him down as he tries to get by a couple cars in front of him.
In fact, that's Carl Burke and Gary Nichols, who he said were battling for position with cars that aren't trying to drive like how they'd like. So that's going to make it even more interesting. Are they going to play nice and let him through with this battle for position that they're working on? It looks like Brian has got a run. He looks to the inside. That's not really the way to get by, as we've seen. And no, it looks like Carl Burke is not really playing nice right now. He doesn't want to lose time.
Yeah, no, Carl Burke's not giving up that outside line. He's staying up there, and he's going to make Brian Barnes earn it.
Well, let's not forget that these two are battling for second in the points. Meanwhile, the driver who sits first in the points gained half a second that lap, while Brian Barnes is trying to make this move. But as Sean said, Carl Burke is not willing to give up the lead, and blue flags don't really mean a whole lot in oval racing. You have to race to try and get your way onto by a lap car, and Brian is giving it all he's got, but cannot clear Carl right now.
He can just get up alongside as he does there, but that outside line gives him the better run. He almost had it there coming into turn 3, and now he's finally cleared him and is able to get by. So some very, very much some gamesmanship going on between those championship rivals.
Yeah, I think Carl Burke drove her a little deep that time and had to get off the throttle because he was heading for the wall, and that allowed Brian Barnes to make the pass there.
And I have to imagine, Sam, that Barnes is going to, tuck that away for later and remember that. That's kind of one of those oval racing cliches that you don't forget when you've been done wrong by someone earlier in the race.
Yeah, now Toby Butler working underneath Carl Burke. Now I would... Oh, and Toby gets loose on the apron there and still trying to save it. Toby had been able to close the gap down to 1.5 seconds. Now it falls down to about 2.5 seconds between him and Brian Barnes. I was thinking Carl Burke was just going to give it to him, given that he's already a lap down anyway. So what does he have to fight Toby Butler for?
Well, he's 20 points behind, so it's still something that he's trying to make life as difficult as possible for these two leaders up front. Doesn't matter who it is. I guess he's just making enemies with everybody today.
Meanwhile, a great battle for 10th going on. Gary Nichols, Matthew Rogers and Ray Fournier. The problem is that, and actually Gregory Bryant in 9th place may soon fall back into that battle. The problem is that this is going on right in front of Toby Butler. So he's going to have to get through this mess. Now Brian Barnes may actually be able to pull away a bit.
And Butler finally looks like, yes, he's gotten by Carl Burke. So He's got that progress to go. Like you said, though, those cars battling in front of him with Rogers, Fournier, and Nichols going hard at it. And look at Nichols go around the outside of Bryant. Can he make it work as we ride along with Toby Butler? Looks like he's got it done. Gregory Bryant slips down. In fact, he loses another position, possibly here, as Ryan Fournier goes clear around the outside.
Yeah, Gregory Bryant suffering right now, or at least he didn't seem to like the low line very much. And, whoa, the lap truck of Mike Willett, who's 2 laps down, now tracks him up. They're going to go 3 wide almost through turn 3. Definitely not advised. Mike Willett needs to get out of the way of these guys because they're much faster. And right now they're stacking up double file. Toby Butler is right in the middle of a hornet's nest, right in the middle of a storm. Mike Willett is on the desired line. Gary Nichols can't get by him. And Ray Fournier can't get by him because that low line isn't enough. And look at this. Oh, wow. Gary Nichols almost turns Willett. And then there you go. Toby Butler gets through that somehow.
Unbelievable luck by Toby Butler.
It was only a matter of time. Bruce Lawson got... I think he actually didn't get that much damage in it, but he was certainly stopped on the track.
Well, you talked about the little big one as we go to replay, and Toby Butler must have had angels all over that car as we watch and just look at him escape through the inside as they've got cars. That was Mike Willett, who was tipped by Nichols there and just missed out by Nichols coming down on him. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and Matthew Rogers did a really nice job of just kind of slipping through the middle of that whole thing like a running back up over the guard, man. I mean, that was incredible.
Brian Barnes into the pits. Obviously, pretty much everyone will be down pit road to hopefully not use up their last free repair. But some of them will inevitably do so. Now, Brian Barnes came into the pits so far ahead of Toby Butler. I can only imagine he'll win the race off pit road. We'll see if Toby does 2 tyres, though. No, he's going all 4, so Brian Barnes will win the race off pit road.
And we were watching the slow-mo replay of that multi-car accident. And actually, look at that getting into Willett there at the end of the replay. That was Bruce Lawson, who had been running second for quite a few laps. So Bruce Lawson got just a little bit of damage from that. As we watch Willett come into the pits, and now we're on Lawson actually as he heads in. Number of cars have damage now, and I'm pretty sure that termite rot you mentioned earlier is coming into play for a lot of these guys. I don't think they're getting as good of repairs as they'd hoped.
Yeah, well, I'm watching Gary Nichols right now, and he had 1 free repair left, so Gary Nichols is still very much in this thing. He is, and you know, here's the deal with Gary Nichols. You know, when he's been out of trouble this evening, he's run really well. He's driving a great line. I think he's got a legitimate shot to be up near the front by the end of this thing, but he is a lap down right now, so he's going to need to stay at the back of the field and make his way up and get the next lucky dog.
Well, a number of cars had come in and gotten their pit stops, and I'm waiting for the order to update here. And Brian Barnes, as you said, is going to be up top. Toby Butler sitting in second. He has closed the gap, thank you to that caution. And then behind them, Eric Lawson. Now, we saw a bit of Eric Larson at the very beginning up at the top, but since then, he hasn't really been a huge factor in these front runners. Right now sitting third, so he's not looking too bad.
No, not bad at all. You know, I mean, he's certainly a contender for this thing as well. You know, hey, listen, there's several drivers that have a really good shot at, you know, getting a good finish here. Craig Capone, you know, we talked about him earlier, starting off the pit road. He's up in 4th now. Again, another driver who, when he has been out of trouble, has been able to run a really, really good line and be fast.
We are on lap 126. We are going to be ticking off 1 more lap very soon here, and we're going to go back to green. Like I said, past halfway here at Bristol of this 200 lap race. So with 2 hours and 11 minutes left on the clock to sneak this thing in, I'm pretty sure they're going to get in with plenty of comfy room to finish this thing. And the pace car is going to peel off as Brian Barnes is going to lead them away, gets the jump. Toby Butler is left in the dust in second. In fact, he is being challenged around the outside by Capone, and Capone was not able to make it happen.
Whoa, and a nice fast move by Gary Nichols there down inside of Matthew Rogers. Puts basically the slipstream on him and gets right by him to come back across the line in now 10th place. Gary Nichols making his way back up through the field.
Just ahead of him, too, is Carl Burke, who's been suffering from that damage for a while now. Burke, though, is still sitting in 9th, even though he is a lap down. Just up front, though, we need to go to the lead because right now Brian Barnes is under pressure from Toby Butler.
Yeah, he is, and Toby's making it work, and you know he's got a shot here to get the lead for the first time tonight. But he's gotta somehow find a way to just stay with Barnes and get around him.
He's been trying to figure out where he can get that best launch off the corner, and it looks like he is experimenting there, almost squaring off that last bit, trying to see if he can get a run down the hill possibly. But it's not working at the moment. He is bottled up behind Barnes, who continues to lead this race at lap 131.
Yeah, and you know, Butler might just be wise to just kind of sit back behind him and ride for right now. I mean, there's no real urgency to get to the front. Keep the truck in good shape, keep running your line, and follow the leader until you need to make that move, I think is the wise choice here.
Yeah, patience seems to really behoove a few of the guys, and it definitely helped Toby Butler work his way through the field earlier on. Remember, he was stuck behind a car for quite a few laps, and then eventually found his way through when an opportunity presented itself. So I think we're seeing a very intelligent driver here in second place, looking for the right chance rather than try to barge his way through.
And had a very damaged truck as well, and you know, still managed to rebound from that. I'm sure that thing had to be a handful when the rear end was just crushed in on that thing.
Well, as we watch on board with Brian Barnes looking back from the rear spoiler, we can see the grill of Toby Butler all over the back of him, keeping him in check, knowing that the slightest mistake is going to hand away that lead, especially around this very, very short lap. So, as we complete lap 136 there, now into lap 137 any moment, we have Brian Barnes in the lead, Toby Butler in second. Craig Capon still holds on to third, but he is followed very closely by Bruce Lawson and Eric Lawson.
There's a lot of sliding around going in this second pack. A couple of trucks getting in the wall, such as Bruce Lawson and Jared Morgan. But I'm telling you guys, this is the... as Jared Morgan and Troy Anderson get very close there. Troy Anderson making a nice move on the low line. Meanwhile, Carl Burke has been able to run his way back into the top 10 there, running side by side with Gary Nichols. So it's all happening back there. But meanwhile, up front, something I've been thinking since the restart is that Toby Butler has a... this was really the first time we've seen him in second place on the same age tyres as the leader, so we'll get an idea of what track position versus tyres was worth here. And I have a feeling Toby has a faster truck. Eventually he is going to make a move on Brian if the race stays like this, and we'll get an idea of really how fast he is.
Well, we watched Jared Morgan make good on that battle and now has claimed the position, but we've switched up to Toby Butler and Brian Barnes still battling it out for that lead. And Butler continues to just hang back and wait for his chance. As we watch this, let's crank it up and watch and hear these cars work their way around Bristol Motor Speedway. Welcome back. We have yet another caution. This one was kicked off by Carl Burke and Jared Morgan, also collecting Gary Nichols. And who was the other car involved in there, Sam? Looks like Troy Anderson.
Yeah, the Dodge point car.
Yeah, Carl Burke got loose coming off the turn and then across the track and collected the 095 of Jared Morgan, and that just started the whole melee. And
We're
Jared
watching
Morgan's
it
cut.
I'm sorry, we're watching it on replay, and you can see just the little pileup that they had collect on the front stretch there with Jared Morgan had a very smashed up front end. And thank goodness that happened where it did, or at least the leaders are saying that, because you could see that was Brian Barnes who just came up on them as it was clearing out.
Ray Fournier has been given the wave around, and it's starting to make a difference because we're going to have less than 50 laps to go when they restart.
Yeah, it's going to be go time, definitely, after they restart here.
So it comes to where Toby Butler might have to really get it on here and try to start making moves, and that is going to be very interesting. Butler with the better pace so far in this race. Brian Barnes, though, has been controlling for much of it after he was able to get it out of the hands of Toby Butler. So we'll have to see what Butler can do from second place. What can this championship leader try and do to hold on to things? Because remember, Barnes right now is only 3 points behind. This win could put him up into the championship lead if he can hold Butler back.
I think Gary Nichols is one of our first to bite the bullet. Not that he's out of the race, but he's got a lot of damage on that truck, and he's been involved in a couple of cautions today. And whether he's got a lot of optional repairs or if he's getting required repairs, he has just gone an extra lap down to the pace car. That number 8 truck is beat up, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, same thing with Jared Morgan. He's out of repairs, and he's taken a lot of repair time. He's down 3 laps down.
Let's run through the order real quick with things having been shaken up over time. Brian Barnes, as I said, is leading with Toby Butler behind him in second. Craig Capon still holding on to third. He's been doing pretty handy there. And Eric Larson is in fourth. Stephen Paulison in fifth. Then in sixth, it's Bruce Lawson, followed by Troy Anderson in seventh. Ray Fournier in eighth. Wayne Hutchinson in ninth. And Matthew Rogers rounding out the top 10.
You know, to this point in the race, I think if I was going to award a BC's Headache Powder Award to somebody, I think it'd be Carl Burke. He's having a pretty rough night, guys. Now, he's only a lap down, but, man, we've seen him all over the track, into the wall, outside wall, inside wall, in and out of the pits with damage. And, but he's soldiering on, trying to make a race out of it still.
And keep in mind, he started in fourth position, so this is not the kind of night that he wanted, I'm pretty sure. It's certainly not shaping up in the way that I think he hoped.
Make a note that the front runners you see here will probably be the same front runners at the end of the race we have at Darlington, because that will be a bit of an over-endurance race. We'll get in the green.
Yep, pace car is in, and Brian Barnes actually accelerates away with Toby Butler following in line, and just behind them, quite a battle going on between Larson, Lawson, and Capone. In fact, Capone, I think, lost a few positions in that.
He did, and
yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, he lost one to Bruce Lawson. Bruce is doing well. Did I just see one truck lose a connection there?
I thought I've seen
Ray
some blinking.
Fournier. Ray Fournier, yeah, I can't see Ray Fournier out on the track anymore.
Oh, he's still out there, but he's blinking quite a bit even on my end, so he must not have the best of connections, unfortunately, but he's currently sitting in 8th from what I'm seeing. So with lap 153 in the books, Brian Barnes still in the lead, and Toby Butler is still right up behind him, and he is not letting him get away. Now, if you were Toby Butler in this situation, Sean, what would your approach be to try and get by? Oh,
There it is. There's his chance.
This could be it. It was a hard slap into the wall for Brian Barnes, but he still somehow manages to hold on to that lead. Toby Butler could not capitalize.
Yeah, I think Toby tried to avoid what might have been Barnes spinning down in front of him, and he got off the throttle and lost his momentum, and Barnes was able to get it back and stay up in front of him. As far as what Toby should do, I think he should continue to follow, keep trying to set him up, and hey, we saw Earnhardt do it many, many years ago to Terry Labonte. The bump and run is not out of the question, boys.
A bit of rough and tumble oval racing could be in order for Butler to try and hold on to his championship lead. But will it come to that? We've still got a number of laps left. Oh, and once again, Barnes up into the wall. Just a little bit of a brush this time as he drifts high coming through 1 and 2. But once again, Toby Butler not able to do anything with it.
Yeah, but I don't think Toby's going to have to bump and run. It almost seems like, as Carl Burke has retired from the race, it almost seems like if he just pressures Brian Barnes, Brian's making his own mistakes, and eventually he's going to wear the right side of that truck out, and Toby Butler should be able to make a move for the lead.
There's only so much sheet metal before you rub it away, I suppose. And Brian Barnes currently feeling that pressure from Toby Butler, as you mentioned. So he's got a bit of a ways to go. He's got to get a cool head. If he's got a crew chief in his ear, he needs to be telling him to cool out, and we've got another caution.
There's a spun car. Kevin Canodor spun over in turn 3. It doesn't look too badly damaged.
And it looks like there was another car involved in that. He slammed into the side of Greg Bryant. And it looks like he was able to continue on, but that was a bit of back and forth between those drivers. And actually, no, I'm sorry, excuse me, it looks like Bryant has possibly exited his car.
Yeah, attrition's starting to play in. Jared Morgan and Gary Nichols have not been able to return to the track. Carl Burke is out of the race. Mike Willett is just 5 laps down. He's been off the pace tonight. And now Gregory Bryant out. And the leaders are coming down pit road, or at least some of them are. Barnes and Butler go down into the pits. That will put Eric Larson up into the lead and Bruce Lawson into second.
And I believe this should take these guys to the finish. So these should be their last pit stops after this. It's got to happen out on track. Question is, who can get out in front?
I'm surprised, Joe, because I think everyone can make it to the end anyways. So these guys must just be pitting for tires.
Exactly, Sam. I can't think of any other reason to pit other than tires. I'm not really sure why Barnes and Butler went in. They're giving up good position to a couple of guys that were right on their heels practically.
It was very close coming across the line, but it looks like Barnes beat him out.
Yeah, because here's the thing that concerns me about track position is that ever since Toby Butler lost the lead, he's had a good run back up to the front, but he's never been able to get the lead back.
Well, so, like you talked about it, in the pre-race, Sam, that high line, if you can get up there and you can rim ride and make that truck perform well for you up there, it's really hard to make that pass down below. And hey, if that truck's working for you up there, there's no reason to get out of line. You're not just going to give it away.
Now remember, early on we saw Bruce Lawson struggling. He is currently sitting in second. If he could get that truck under control, he could have a good opportunity. Right now we've got Eric Lawson, who has taken advantage of the leaders pitting and is going to lead the field away. So this should be, I want to say, our 4th leader overall.
Yeah, Bruce Lawson has really surprised me tonight because he's been sliding around a bit, he's been in the wall a bit, but I don't think I've ever seen him worse than about 4th place.
Well, just behind them, actually, even though the leaders pitted, they're only in 3rd and 4th, Brian Barnes and Toby Butler. Question is, who can make good of trying to weave past these slower cars, because those guys in front of them haven't had the better pace throughout the race. So it's going to be very interesting. Both of these guys are going to be eager to want to get ahead at the same time.
Well, I do see that Eric Larson has got Binford Tools as a sponsor on that truck, and that makes you wonder. He's looking for more power, right? Sorry, couldn't resist, guys.
Tim the Toolman Taylor would be proud, I'm sure. But they are now 2x2. So we are going to get back to green racing here as the pace car has the lights off. Eric Larson, excuse me. Very difficult to switch between Lawson and Larson quite often throughout this broadcast. But Larson is going to lead them away. Can he hold on to that lead? He's got a lot of laps to try and stay up there. He's going to have the outside. He accelerates very early.
Oh, and it comes back up in the middle of the track and takes out a couple trucks.
Troy Anderson. Gary Nichols was involved in that. A bunch of cars. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. I'm trying to get them all together. Matthew Rogers was involved. That was a mistake before they even got the green.
Oh, he lost control on the apron. I was thinking it was a bad judgment call that he came back out on the track in the middle of the field. But no, he was sliding. He never had control of that truck. So that was just a racing accident, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that was a mess. I mean, everybody basically behind first place was involved in that thing.
Yeah, this has certainly helped the battle up towards the lead, because now Butler and Barnes only have Eric Larson. Interestingly, in all that, however, that Butler is now ahead of Barnes as we continue to watch the replay of this accident.
Yeah, and Butler finally gets that position from Barnes, gets up in front of him. Now let's see if he's got what it takes to get by Larson, who again has worked really hard to get up where he's at, and I'm sure he's not just going to give it away. As we right now just completed lap 169 and working 170 right now. It's go time, boys.
Well, the great thing about that wreck is even though there were plenty of trucks involved and plenty got a bit torn up, it doesn't seem to be any trucks down on pit road for an extended amount of time. So fortunately, all the damage was kind of limited.
Now, here's the interesting thing in all this. You were mentioning, Sean, that Butler has to try and get by Larson. Barnes could have an opportunity, with Butler being distracted, of trying to move forward. I wonder if Barnes is going to be a little bit more aggressive here and try and take advantage when Butler is working to try and get by on the low line.
Well, Barnes is sitting in what we call in NASCAR the catbird seat, and he's got the action right in front of him there, and he stands to gain the most by those two fighting in front of him. So, yeah, we're going to see what happens here pretty quick.
The lights are still on the pace car, though, as we come around to do another lap. I don't think they should be going off this time. Let's watch and see.
Yeah, they stay on. Anyone else noticed how for the first half of the race, every single caution was a single car spin, and the last three have all involved multiple cars?
Yeah, well, things are heating up, Sam. It's time to go, baby.
It's Bristol, baby.
Boy, NASCAR racing at its best, or at its roughest, potentially here in this case, lap 172, and we are running out of laps. We have 28 laps to go around here. Excuse me, lap 171 we're seeing on the screen, actually. So we've got just a little bit left, and right now it's looking good for Toby Butler. He is just not out of the woods yet as they start to go double file. And in fact, Butler is going to be on the inside, the undesirable line on this progressive banking circuit. So can he make good on that restart? Can he jump and try and get ahead of Larson? We'll have to wait and see.
Well,
Early in this race, we saw a driver in second laying back a bit on the restart. And the reason they do that is for visibility. Sometimes it's hard to see the leader, and so it's hard to tell when the leader goes. So that's why you may see Toby Butler lay back a bit so he can try and get a better view of Larson than when he goes.
Well, right now he's staying right up next to him, and there it looks like Larson has accelerated away, and like you said, that did not help Butler.
Capone got wheel spin and got in the wall, but was able to keep it straight.
And Butler was not able to get down on the inside of Larson, unfortunately, but these guys are still all together. You can see on their screen just how close they are.
You could throw a blanket over them, and Butler is going to have to start thinking about making a move. At first, he's going to try and do it cleanly, but eventually he may end up using the chrome horn. But right now, he's going to try and do it cleanly. He throws it into turn 3. He's going to try and clear Larson out of turn 4, and he does it.
And unfortunately for Barnes, he had to check up because of Larson having to check up, but now he gets by, and it looks like he's going to have second, but it might be too little too late. He's going to have to pick up the pace and really get on the bumper of Butler.
I think they just gave the Butler the car keys and said run away with it, because we saw earlier when Toby had P1, he kind of just checked out.
Yeah, he's checking out right now, guys. He's making space between him and Barnes real quick.
I don't think I think you made the wrong call a little bit early. You can never expect the Butler to make a dirty move around here, and he's certainly doing it nice and clean, been running nearly flawlessly for most of the day, patiently for much of it, and he's back up into the lead after a long period of having to work his way up there. Absolutely stretching it up to a second already. Barnes has no answer.
Yeah, and we see Bruce Lawson still trying to make his way back up to where he was and having trouble getting around some of this traffic in front of him here. But he's still got a fast truck and can still maybe gain a little bit of ground. But, man, Butler has just checked out. Barnes just made up a little bit of time on him, but not much. It's going to be tough to catch Butler at this point.
Yeah, I'm really watching this battle for fifth between Ray Fournier, Bruce Lawson, and Troy Anderson, who almost spins. Because if there's going to be a caution, this is where it's going to happen. And really, a caution, I think, is what Brian Barnes needs in order to give Toby another challenge.
Well, unfortunately, Fournier had to give up the ghost as Lawson got by, but it's impressive since he's from that damage, he's got about 90% of a truck.
Yeah, he's definitely having trouble with downforce back there. Whoa, Fournier comes right up on the bumper of him, almost got a piece of him, and Lawson pulls back away from Fournier, but Fournier getting a good run in the turns there and making up a little bit of ground, but then seems to lose him in the straight, which is amazing because Lawson's got absolutely no downforce from that rear end as we see all that damage he's carrying.
And Troy Anderson in the Dogecoin car behind them has been trying to keep up there and make good if something happens between them, but has no answer at the moment and is just holding on to that 7th position. So as these guys continue on, let's keep watching this battle, but Butler hasn't run away much more. He's still just about a second ahead of Barnes.
Yeah, and he's already caught Matthew Rogers in making, Rogers just gets out of the way and lets him on by.
With no championship at stake for Rogers, he has no reason to try and fight hard there as Butler works his way past. And Barnes is going to try and get by him as well, as we see him work by the inside now, and he just lets him go.
Yeah, nice running there. He's about half a lap ahead of the 10th place truck. Wayne Hutchinson's he can afford to take his time.
Yes, with 12 laps to go, these guys don't have much left. Butler is looking very handy at the moment. You have to give credit to Larson, I think, in all of this. Eric has been, he's kind of been this silent warrior during this race, just doing his own thing, hasn't really been up towards the front until the end, and except for the very beginning. And yet he's played it out nicely and is looking at a podium quite easily.
Knocking down the walls of Bristol, bam, bam, these are the Warriors. And right now, Toby has a 1 second lead over Brian Barnes. And as you say, they're coming to 10 laps to go. And let's not forget that there are no green-white checkers in iRacing. If he can get to 5 laps to go or 4 laps to go and the caution comes out, it will be race over. As right now, he works by the lap truck of Mike Willett, running 6 laps down in 12th position. Oh, who gets in the wall a bit there?
Yeah, and that is going to hold up Brian Barnes just a little bit, but he squeaks around the outside, and actually he's gained ground, significant ground in that.
Yes, he has, Joe. He has. He's picking up a little bit of time on him, and now got it to just almost about a half a second. He could get up there.
8 laps to go now, this time by, and it looks like even though he's closed the gap, did he gain a little bit? No, it looks like just about the same, so just over half a second between Butler and Barnes. And again, these guys are in a championship battle with each other. Barnes in second in the championship and here on the track, 3 points adrift.
Actually, the last time around, they ran it to the 1,000th of a second. They were exactly the same. That lap, though, Toby Butler checked out by about a 10th.
So it's going Butler's way once again as the laps tick off, but he's got Wayne Hutchinson just ahead of him. Will Wayne behave and let him by, or is he going to slow him up? Wayne has nothing at stake, and here he's not in the top 5 in the championship, and he just goes down to the low side and lets him on through.
Yeah, Gary Nichols next to the lap truck ahead of him, and then they should be clean sailing after that. Stephen Paulison's about half a lap ahead, so I have a feeling they're only going to have to deal with one more lap truck. Gary Nichols, 13 laps down, should just let them by.
You know, and I think what's hurt Brian Barnes the most right here in these closing laps is just consistency. He'll burn off a really, really nice lap like he did a couple laps ago, and then he'll do like he just did right there and almost get up into the wall. He's just having trouble running good, clean, consistent laps, and he just doesn't seem like he has enough to catch Butler at this point.
And with less than 3 laps to go, this race will be over in 40 seconds.
And Butler is working his way past Nichols, who isn't making life as he makes him go on the low side, but he gets by cleanly. And this is going to give just a little bit to Brian Barnes possibly, but now he's got to get by. And look at him close up. Was there a mistake by Butler there?
I think it's what you were just saying, Joe. He lost his momentum because of the lap truck, but they're coming to the white flag right now. Brian Barnes would need a miracle to win it.
Never say die, and right now it looks like Toby Butler is crossing his fingers on that wheel, hoping that nothing happens. And here he comes out of turn 4. Toby Butler is going to take the win at Bristol Motor Speedway in round 9.
And nice job by Brian Barnes, damage limitation in the points to get second. Looks like Eric Larson's going to have a quiet race, come home in third. Craig Capon, how about that? Lucas Connection starts from pit road, goes 2 laps down, comes back to finish 4th. And Bruce Lawson, I criticised him a bit today at sliding around a lot, but he came out of here with a top 5 finish.
Yeah, he certainly made good of that, despite having some problems running into the wall early on. Let's go to break. We are going to come back with unofficial results and interviews. Round 9 is in the books in the Northwest Majors, and Toby Butler comes out on top, retaining his championship lead with a win here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Brian Barnes came home in second, Eric Larson in third. Craig Capone came home in fourth, with Bruce Lawson rounding out the top 5. Then it's Ray Fournier in 6th, Troy Anderson in 7th, Steve Paulison in 8th, Matthew Rogers in 9th, Wayne Hutchinson in 10th, followed by Kevin Kernodle in 11th, Mike Willett in 12th, with Gary Nichols in 13th. Then in 14th, it was Gregory Bryant, followed by Carl Burke in 15th, Jared Morgan in 16th, and Scott Hutchinson was a did not start in 17th. We have some interviews. First up, we have Brian Barnes. Let's see if we can pull him in here. Brian, it was an exciting race up from the booth. You tried your best to hold off Toby in the middle, but unfortunately it was not able to be with that caution and him sneaking by, it seems.
Yeah, I just did my best, man. I'm sitting here in a pool of sweat, but I'm glad my connections stayed together and we were able to give them a fight.
So with the championship, this means that you weren't able to jump him into the lead with Darlington, another oval course up next. Do you think you maybe have something for him there?
Man, I battle him week in and week out at our normal league, and he's tough. But yeah, I'm going to have to do good at Darlington and then really brush up on my road course skills for the last 2 races.
All right. Well, congratulations on a second place finish. That still at least limits the damage for this one. So hopefully we'll see you in a week or so's time.
Oh yeah, I'll be here, and I got to give a shout out to Mike Wheeler for putting this all on. He does a great job, and for my setup man, Chris Beck, he gave me a nice setup for tonight.
Excellent stuff. Thanks for coming and talking to us.
All right, thank you.
Up next, we have Eric Larson, who came home with a third place finish, and Sam is going to talk to him.
Eric Larson, congratulations on your third place finish today. How do you feel? Eric Larson, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I had pushed to talk here. Yeah, no, it was a good race. It was my first majors race, so just kind of hung in there, kept trying to hit my marks and try to keep up with Toby, but that was quite tough.
I noticed you list the Silverado as one of your favorite vehicles. Is that the reason you raced tonight, or have you been trying to become part of this league on a regular basis now?
Oh, well, I've been racing the Silverado. I think it's one of my favorites. I mainly race the Silverado in the Class B, but I think I'm going to start doing more of these majors races. It's quite a good little race to compete in.
You had a very quiet race today. I mean, you started third and you finished third, and you ran around the top 5 all night. Were you kind of waiting for something to happen to try and get up there in the top 2, or did you anticipate a third all along?
Well, going through practice, I was around the 3rd or 4th fastest, so I kind of anticipated being up there. I got spun pretty early, so I got moved to the back of the pack, I think 15th. It just slowly worked my way up, and then took a gamble, and my last pit was on lap 129, so I had pretty old tires there on that last restart, and there's no way I was holding Toby.
Well, you did a very solid job to bring it home in 3rd place. Darlington coming up in a couple of weeks, so you're going to try and be there, and are you looking forward to it?
Oh, definitely. No better race than the Southern 500. I'll be there.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing you. Well, congratulations on your 3rd place finish tonight, and maybe you'll be able to get 2 more at Darlington.
Thank you.
Well, we had 2 drivers who were able to enjoy the fruits of their labor, but unfortunately the last one, not so much, finishing it in last place, and Sean is going to talk to Jared Morgan.
Hey, Jared. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Jared, kind of give us an idea of what happened out there to you. I mean, tough night for you. I'm real sorry things didn't work out for you.
Well, the Phone.com Chevy was doing great all night. I really wasn't expecting to be running in the top 5. Come around about 50 to go. Bert got loose in front of me. By the time I could react to hit the brakes, I was already in his door. Next thing I know, I'm getting hit from behind. I try to pull away. I think it's a flat. I wait there in the pits. 3 minutes later, turns out the whole rear end's knocked out from under it.
Yeah, certainly your truck was not the only truck we saw with rear end damage this evening, but yeah, that repair just killed you and dropped you to the back of the pack like a rock, man. Tough evening for you. What do you think about your chances at Darlington?
I couldn't tell you. I've never actually run the track here on iRacing. I don't even own the track yet, so we'll see.
Well, I will tell you from experience that Darlington is a tough nut to crack, and I would suggest to you to get that track as soon as possible and get out there and start doing some running.
Shouldn't be too hard. Payday's coming up in about a week.
All right. Hey, anybody you want to thank for your efforts this evening, sir?
Whoever made that base setup, that thing was a good setup. I put about 2 rounds of track bar into each side of it. That thing was a rocket. Phone.com for allowing me to use their name on my truck. Can't think of anyone else right yet. Oh yeah, the girlfriend over here laying next to me let me race tonight.
So let me get that right. So you lay down while you race? Is that your strategy?
No, that's her on the futon next to me, probably barely listening to anything that I'm saying. I actually sit on a computer about 3 foot away.
I got you. Just giving you a hard time, buddy. Hey, it was a tough night for you. I just thought maybe I'd lighten it up a little bit for you. But hey, we'll see you at Darlington, and we wish you a lot better luck there. Thanks again for coming on with us here and answering a couple of questions.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, the idiosyncrasies of sim racing. We're going to close up for tonight. First off, we want to thank Mike Willett, the organizer of the Northwest Majors, for making everything happen out here. Also, thank you to iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and AverMedia. They are the software and hardware that we use to make these broadcasts possible. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Sam, and Giancarlo. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. Thanks goes out to Doug Beard, who creates all the camera sets for the Global Sim Racing Channel, and a special thank you to Eric Ekholm, whose music is not only heard here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Additional thanks to Casey Lalonde, who also provides us with the music for our broadcasts. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next race, as we keep mentioning, is at Darlington. Going to be a tough one. That's September 1st at 6 p.m. Pacific. However, our next broadcast coming up in less than a week's time, that is the iSuper Speedway Series going to Daytona Friday, August 22nd at 10 p.m. Eastern. And then stick around because on Sunday it's once again at Daytona for the VSRA. The DPs head there Sunday, August 24th, at 9 p.m. Eastern. And of course, don't forget the ASRS returns at Mosport Road Course Racing in the trucks on Wednesday, August 27th, 9 p.m. Eastern. After that, the Blondie Series is back at Circuit of the Americas Saturday, September 6th, 6 p.m. UTC. And then, of course, don't forget that the CESCS comes back at Indianapolis Saturday, September 6th at 10:30 p.m. UTC. Don't miss it. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.